Hey everybody, this is Andrew with Scientific Ketogenics, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a pizza that is a cheese-based crust and is just perfect for this diet. As you can see, I'm cutting it up here, and this is what the end result is going to look like. So yeah, let's get into the ingredients and how to make it. Alright, so here are all the ingredients. On your right here is going to be what you're going to use for the dough. You're going to want to use a mild shredded cheese. I'm using Mexican. Cream cheese, almond flour, 1 egg, and electrolyte salt. Just a few ingredients, not too bad. Now here we have avocado oil, and usually I'd use coconut oil, but instead I use this because of the high smoke point compared to coconut oil. So when we put this in the oven, it doesn't smoke us out like coconut oil. Now here we got the toppings. I'm using ham, pepperoni, jalapenos, and some bacon, which I'll throw on the stove while I got my stuff in there in the oven. Oh yeah, don't forget about that pizza sauce for the pizza you're about to make. Duh. So heat up your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit and then bring out your cheese in a mixing bowl and dump that right in. You're going to be using 1 3/4 cup of shredded cheese. Now you're going to want to take 3/4 cup of almond flour. I'm using unblanched almond flour, but you can use blanched if you want as well. It's not going to change the dough really at all. Then just go ahead and scoop that out, throw it right over the top of your shredded cheese. Now finally, take your cream cheese out and just go ahead and scoop 2 tablespoons of that. Just dump it right on the top of your flour and cheese. You're just going to want to mix the flour and the cheese together. The cream cheese is fine just sitting on top. And then you're going to pop it in the microwave for 1 minute. Once you pull it out of the microwave, it'll be kind of a goopy mess, kind of like that. Just mix it around until it becomes kind of clumpy like this, and then throw it back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. After that 30 seconds, go ahead and pull it out, mix it around again until it's more of a dough consistency, and it should end up looking something like that. Now go ahead and take that egg and just pour it over the top. Make sure you beat it up a bit before you dump it in. Now take your electrolyte salt and go ahead and just put a few shakes of that right in the mix. Then you're going to want to take your spoon and just start mixing. Because the egg is so liquidy and it's not a very bready dough, it's going to take a while. So as you can see, it just kind of slides around at first, but trust me, eventually it will work itself into the dough and become one. So here's how the dough should look once the egg is mixed in. Just kind of really sticky and goopy and just kind of sticks to everything. Because it's so sticky, I like to take about a tablespoon of avocado oil and just pour that in. Then I'll mix that in so it's not quite as sticky and it's a bit easier to work with. Now go ahead and get out a rolling pin, some parchment paper. Make sure you're using parchment. This is actually parchment just in a wax paper container because my other box broke. And just tear out 2 pretty decently long sheets, set one off to the side, and then scoop out all of the dough onto one of the sheets. Take your other sheet of parchment paper and lay it on top, then grab your rolling pin and go to town. Just make a circle as best you can, or a square, or whatever shape of pizza you want. But the thickness you're looking for is about, I'd say, 1/4 inch. So you can do thicker or you can do thinner, but I've found that 1/4 inch gives me a pretty decent crust with nice crunch. Go ahead and peel back that top piece of parchment paper and throw it away. You're not going to be needing that any longer. And check out my pizza that I rolled out. A perfect circle. Phenomenal. Wow. Go ahead and slide that dough right on over to a cookie sheet of sorts. You can just leave it on the parchment paper. And then I like to add a little bit of oil to the sides of it, just like this, and then kind of move it around the edge so the crust comes out a bit crispier. Now I forgot to do this during this step, but take a fork and poke some holes all the way around the dough so that way it'll come out cooked evenly. Now go ahead and grab that tray, stick it in the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes or until you see it to get a bit brown. Here's my dough after about 15 minutes of cooking. As you can see, it's nice and crispy and brown. Now just take your sauce out, spread it around, use a spoon, do what you need to. We all know how to make pizza here, I'm assuming. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff. And then I like to take some cheese and also add that on top of the sauce. Even though the dough is already made out of cheese, I just like that kind of cheesy topping, as I would assume most people do. So then I'm going to take all my other ingredients and just layer those on the top as needed. And you can use whatever you want here. I'm using pepperoni, ham, bacon, and jalapenos, but you could put veggies, you could put ground beef. It really doesn't matter. The options are endless. It's pizza. I mean, come on. So here's my pizza after it's been in the oven for about 5 minutes. I usually just go until the cheese is melted because all my ingredients are cooked, so I just wait till the cheese browns up a tiny bit and we're good to go. I also take it off the parchment paper for this part so the bottom will crisp up a tiny bit more than it normally would on top of that parchment paper. But once it's out of the oven, go ahead and let it cool off a bit and slice it up. So like you saw at the beginning of the video, here's the final product. Just one slice. I couldn't help myself. I had to take a bite. It's super delicious. I've made this with pesto sauce, white sauce, different toppings, and it always comes out pretty good. I'll go ahead and leave the recipe right here on the screen, and I gotta give credit where credit is due. This isn't actually my recipe. It's kind of a Fathead pizza variation. It's mostly the same, but if you type in Fathead pizza online, this is where I originated this recipe from. So I hope you enjoy it. It's always great to have a slice of pizza on a ketogenic diet, and this one's even better because it's cheese based and it fills you up a bit more. So thanks for watching, guys. If you could go ahead and leave a like, I'd really appreciate that, and also leave a comment and let me know if I could do any recipes in the future, or if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them, and I'm here to help. This has been Andrew with Scientific Ketogenics, and we'll see you next time.